common theme in my videos lately is that I'm really struggling to wrap my brain around the way that people on the right think. Like, I can conceptualize on sort of an intellectual level the banality of evil. I can understand on an intellectual level how terrible, horrible, inhumane acts can become normalized in a culture so that people are almost blind to the horrific nature of the things that they are either supporting or watching other people do, or they are themselves carrying out. But I can't wrap my brain around it. Like, I can't understand. I lose a lot of sleep thinking about how human beings are able to be okay with doing such horrible things to each other. And like, they sleep really well at night. I guarantee you, Nancy Mace, she sleeps well at night. I don't know that Marco Rubio sleeps real well at night, but JD Vance, sure, he sleeps real well at night. Bibi Netanyahu, he's sleeping like a baby. But I just want to explore this a little bit more, and maybe folks can help me, because it really tears me up. I think part of the reason is because before everything that's happening now, I've always considered myself pragmatic, but also incredibly idealistic, right? I could not be a permaculture person wanting earth care, people care, and fair share, and thinking that like not just a sustainable, but like a regenerative society is possible if I were not incredibly idealistic. And part of the foundation for my worldview is that I believe people are more good than not, that people are more likely to embrace humanity and compassion if given the choice. And so much of why people are selfish and abusive and unable to access empathy and care for others has a lot to do with childhood trauma, has a lot to do with the way we raise children, indoctrinate children, traumatize children. And I've advocated for many years that if we change the way we parent kids radically, we could break so many cycles and do so much good in our society. That I previously believed that there are a lot of broken people in this world and there are very few actually evil people, but that broken, traumatized people can hurt other people, often quite easily. So that was sort of the foundation of my thinking going into what we are experiencing now. And I'm really feeling like that has been shaken severely. I was naive about the depth and breadth of the hate in this country. I was really naive about how profoundly deep the racism and misogyny and homophobia and transphobia and like intense selfishness runs in this country. And also watching how many people in the Trump regime just like gleefully support Trump's agenda, are perfectly willing, perfectly content, happy to exploit, traumatize, brutalize, kill innocent people in order to secure power and profit for themselves. I always knew some of those folks existed as an anti-capitalist. Well, I really like to call myself a post-capitalist. I feel like that's more hopeful. But then people are always like, what does post-capitalist mean? So I usually say anti-capitalist. I understand that there have always been greedy men who have no problem exploiting other people and the planet in order to profit. But I think I've had this belief, like the working class, when it's demanded of us, we will lean into our humanity, and we just need education and support and like therapy in order to figure out how to reconstitute community and learn to live in a society that is not toxically individualistic, but like where we support all of each other. All of each other that was weird, but you know what I mean. So I had made a video where I was talking about famine. As I made a series of 3 videos. They have not performed very well, but I feel like the topic is really important and I wish more people could watch them. I understand why it is subject matter that not just TikTok, but YouTube especially suppresses. So I was talking about famine as a man-made construct, that famine is an entirely preventable disaster, that it is something that has nothing to do with the amount of food that is available. We grow more than enough food, produce more than enough food to feed everybody on the planet, that famines are constructed by tyrannical men in power who disrupt the distribution of food. It has very much to do with access to food and not quantity of food, and how it is something that is done on purpose to further the agenda of a tyrant, of an authoritarian. More often than not, they will exploit environmental factors. Like, sure, there can be floods and droughts, and that can create a local food shortage, but it is most often the displacement of human beings. It is conflict that causes famine. And when people are displaced, when there is conflict, when people no longer can grow their own food and be food secure, it is cutting off the access of humanitarian aid to those populations that exacerbates a situation and makes it become a famine. And I was talking in these videos about how we are seeing the rise of famines around the world. There had not been a single famine declared globally since 2017 until the end of last year, when one was declared in Sudan. And then not long after, we've seen a famine declared in Gaza, Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Yemen. Other places are all like on the brink of a famine. And you might ask, like, what's the difference between a hunger crisis and a famine? Somebody in my video comments the other day, after I posted that video about Gaza, got really mad at me and being like, why would you call it a famine? It's a genocide. And I was like, no, I'm using the term famine specifically because it's important to understand that a famine is a man-made construct. It is something that is done intentionally to a vulnerable population. It's not a natural disaster. It often is something that is used as part of a genocide in order to enact a genocide. In fact, we saw during World War II that the Nazis used starvation as an intentional, deliberate tactic against the Jewish population. It was something that was consciously done, knowingly starving innocent people until death. A famine is not just a hunger crisis caused by a flood or a drought or some natural disaster. It is a man-made construction. It is often because of the megalomaniacal vision of just a couple of cruel, terrible people that results in starvation and death for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of children. A famine is not a regular hunger crisis. It is the ultimate final step of a hunger crisis. It is the worst possible stage of a hunger crisis. For a famine to be called, 3 criteria have to be met. The first, 1 in 5 households must face extreme hunger within that population. In Gaza, by the way, it is every single household. 100% of the population of Gaza is experiencing a severe food shortage right now. The second criteria that must be met is at least 30% of the population must be malnourished. And that's the entire population. And in a given group, 30%, that tends to be the children. So it means almost all of the children are malnourished in that population. It is children who are the most impacted by famine. In the short term, they're the most likely to die. And in the long term, they have lasting health consequences for the rest of their lives if they survive it. So at least 1 in 5 households face extreme food shortages. At least 30% of the population is malnourished, acutely malnourished. And third, at least 2 out of every 10,000 members of that population are dying every single day from starvation. So once a famine is called, people are already actively dying. And I was just saying, like, I can't wrap my brain around people who are okay with that, who would justify that. I understand why some people might be ignorant, even willfully ignorant, but I cannot understand people who enjoy the cruelty, like Nancy Mace enjoying the cruelty of what ICE is doing, saying that she watches ICE raid videos where children are being ripped away from their mothers. She watches that for entertainment. I covered a clip of an Israeli activist months ago who was advocating for the most horrific things to be done to Palestinians and like just gleeful about it, thought that it was moral and right and good. And I cannot understand what has become so shriveled and twisted in the minds and hearts of those folks that they hold that position, that they're not troubled. They're not troubled by their beliefs. They're not troubled by the things that they are doing and supporting, watching other people do. They not only don't feel any call to stand up against it, but like they support it. They think it's good. So in the context of all of that, this person left a comment, and I'm not sure if he's a Trumper or if he's like a pro-IDF, it's not real supporter, because I was specifically speaking about Gaza in this video. But when I said that famine is an entirely man-made disaster, it is an intentional construction. It's an intentional act. It's a conscious choice to starve innocent people. He said it's a tool for management of hostile populations. And I've seen this comment from several folks in my videos who claim to be like Democrats or claim to be liberal. It's hard to know on YouTube who's a real person and who is, masquerading. But they will say things like, if the children don't want to starve, they should stop supporting Hamas. Well, this is a necessary strategy in order to get the hostages returned. Like they have no problem with it. They are totally fine with it. Can somebody help me understand? Maybe I'm spending too much of my energy trying to understand and being pretty brokenhearted about it, having my belief and my faith in humanity absolutely shaken over it. So maybe I should just accept that I'm not going to understand, But if you have any advice or perspective here, how is it that people get like this? What has happened to them? Are they born this way? Are they indoctrinated this way? Is there any hope for them? Because I'm really, really struggling to understand it.